Good evening, everyone. How's it going? I say everyone. I only see Marilyn. Well, it's not only. I mean, I'm very, very happy. You mean the world to me. That it means the world to me that you're here. So, yeah, the thing with the goals, it's something new from YouTube. Um, it's just I figure I was gonna give it a try. If I get enough people to give me five small donations of $2, I'll go get the guitar and play a song. I mean, you don't need to do anything. It's just for fun. Some people might want to hear me sing. Some people might want to break their ears. Who knows? Well, that's great. Lois is here. Good evening, Lois. How's it going? The last week went by so fast. It's incredible. I I went to work Monday. We had our handball practice after. We made the final, like we announced the final team. Um, and we're proud of the team we have. I have a winter beard. Yeah, I'm going deer hunting in give or take a week. So that's why I have the beard. And as soon as I get back, I will shave it. So yeah, that's what happened Monday. Tuesday, I went to work, came back home, got ready for my online class. Went to work Wednesday, came back home with handball practice again. Yesterday, my daughter had a small activity where they were sleeping at school. A couple of teachers with all their kids' friend. It was kind of cool though. I wish this would have happened when we were younger. They slept in the gym. A bunch of them had tents with a few parents sleeping with them. They took those, those gym mattresses. They built like some sort of forts. Um, they slept all over the place. They slept on those mattresses. They made some little uh, forts with those mattresses. I mean, it was cool. It was cool to see. I'm sure the kids had tons of fun. They took one of those big projector and put a movie on the wall. Um, they had tons of fun. And today was another busy day at work. I had a few things to do before I went on vacation, and I wanted to be done as soon as possible because obviously it has to be done before I leave. And next week is only a 4-day week because Monday it's Remembrance Day, a day where we honor the fallen soldiers that went to war, defend for us, for our freedom, for our safety. And that being said, with only 4 days in a week, it's always a little bit more busy because you have to do the regular stuff in less time. I ended up doing the last part of that project today, which was kind of good that I was done, and yeah, next week it's gonna be the same thing. Monday I'm probably gonna rest. I have a lot of homework to do this weekend. Um, this is what's going to happen tomorrow morning. I intend to get up early, start working on those projects. Usually after an hour, I need a break. So I'll probably get up, go get breakfast, come back downstairs, do another hour, um, watch a TV show like The Simpsons or something like that, and then do another hour, go for lunch. This will probably be my day. Um, Depending on how much I can accomplish tomorrow, I have to try to get more stuff done for when I'm gone hunting because I don't know. I'm pretty sure there's going to be internet connection, but I don't really feel like being on vacation having to worry about homework. So I'll probably log in just to do like my weekly presents. They want us to um, they have like a, what's it called, discussion board, where they are asking for opinions on the stuff that was spoken of in that week. I'm probably just going to log in, read what other people said, and read the assignment and do the strict minimum. I am maintaining a note over 80 right now, 80%. So I'm pretty happy with that. Knowing that it's the toughest of all the 4 classes, the longest, the one that takes the most time, and yeah, the most boring one at the worst time of year, because it was, when it started, it was the end of harvesting season, and now it's just before Christmas, just during the hunting season. And if you know me, you know that hunting is something that I really, really love. It's going to be pretty special to go hunting once again with my dad, my brother, my son, and my uncle. Yeah, this year my uncle is coming. It's going to be a little bit different. You know, it's always fun because I'm used to hear the jokes from my dad and the stories from my dad. Like, there's always some things that he doesn't really want to talk about because we're his kids. But when it comes to the uncles, that barrier is gone. They will tell us stories of what they did when they were younger, hunting stories, or, you know, the bad stuff they did as kids. It's always fun. I mean, I'm not saying it was bad, not what I'm saying, but, you know, it's always a bunch of interesting stories that we've never heard before. That's what happens when you go hunting as a family. It's always fun. Good evening, Dave. We'll be at the Cenotaph on November 11th. Cool. There's probably going to be something happening not too far from here. I don't know. They usually announce it in advance, and usually Manon tells me, a few days or even a week in advance if one of the kids has to sing the national anthem or anything like that, but nothing this year. So we'll see. I haven't spoken to Jack. Hopefully he remembers that we're going down there in about a week from now. Luckily for us, it seemed to be a good year here in New Brunswick. I am a member of the Facebook page NB Hunters, and there's a lot of deer this year. A lot of deer, a lot of pictures. Some people went bow hunting in the first few weeks, and they caught a lot of beautiful bucks. So hopefully that will continue when we're down there. It's just a matter of getting at least one. We always want to have at least one buck. That's the challenge. There's 5 hunters in New Brunswick. You're never guaranteed to have a buck, unless you had your own land and you could hunt on your own. I'm sure if Jack really wanted to, if he had a lot of time on his hands, you could probably bait them all year round and have small buck on his cameras and know exactly where they're going to be and all that kind of stuff. But if you don't have a private land, and if you can't really bait them all year round, it's really tough. It's basically just a matter of luck. You go down there, you get face to face with one, you get it or you don't. We went to set our scopes last weekend, my dad and I. At 300 yards, we ended up setting up 5 rifles, because there's my brother, my dad, mine, and my son's. Plus, we wanted to have a 5th one just as a spare one if we run out of bullets, or if one of them breaks. Anything can happen. So we ended up setting 5 of them, and at 300 yards, most of them, we ended up in the middle of a circle smaller than a CD. So it was pretty good, I think. At least this year, if we shoot, we shouldn't be missing. That's the goal anyway. If I have time Monday, I'm going to start preparing my stuff. I'm going to need a box to put some canning. I'm going to bring some cans. spaghetti sauce, vegetables and things like that. I need to start making my list. I usually have a list at this time, and every day I think about something and just add it to the list. I didn't start this yet this year. I have a little portable scaffold. Hopefully, I'll be able to bring it along. I also have a portable tent, one of those little tents that you can just get out of the bag. You just throw it out there and it opens up on its own. At least in there, the deer won't smell you as much. And even if you move a little bit, they won't see you. It's just a matter of bringing a chair. I guess I'm going to have to find a chair, bring a chair, and sit in my little tent. Anyone else in the chat goes hunting or likes hunting or wish they could go hunting? Anything about hunting? It is hunting time. Halloween was pretty cool. I kind of talked about that last week. People are not chatty tonight. I didn't share anything on Facebook, though. Let's see. I'm going to share it here. Boom. I should hunt the chickens, not this weekend, but probably next one. That's cool. They're not meat birds though, right? I think you might have dual purpose ones. I'm just gonna go share that here as well. Boom, 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 boom. Control V. Still too warm here to hunt. We'll go for rabbits in the winter. Yeah. I say my kids. I mean, Alexa is 20 years old now. She's old enough to have her own PAL license. And she got hers in the mail yesterday. And as soon as she got it in the mail, she's like, oh my God, I'm going hunting. Not here. Let's see this here. Boom. Yeah, Anthony should be getting his PAL soon as well. And when he does, he'll be able to legally go hunt grouse and rabbit on his own. There's a few pew-pews that he's allowed to take. He's 16. He's allowed to get the 22, the 12, the 410, and the 20. Dual purpose birds. Okay, yeah, well that's pretty cool. I know Patrick and Darren were talking about deer hunting as well. They both have deer going on their property, but they don't have much. Well, Patrick has a few deers going on his cameras. Darren seemed to be in an area where, I don't know, it's full of spruce, and it's kind of wet land. I don't know. There's a lot of deer nearby. You see them in the fields whenever we drive by his place. Not too far from his place, we'll see the deer all over the place. But we don't really see them on the property. Hopefully he gets lucky and gets one. But they have a lot of moose from Bridget's moose hunting. I'm still waiting for that video. She didn't put that video out there, did she? I didn't just miss it, right? I have to get some videos ready for the next 3 weeks, actually. What do I have here? Do I have one ready? Just give me a second. Remy will see them all over the place. He really has the eye for it. Well, when you spend your whole life hunting, it's kind of part of the deal. So I have the podcast that I filmed with a bunch of friends. I'm just waiting for a few footage from some of them. Well, I actually have 50% of those friends to send me their videos. I'm still waiting for another 50%. Once I have that, I should be able to finish it, and that's the one I want to get out when I'm out deer hunting. Might be able to make another one about the well digger. I have another one about Dollarama find, and I also want to make a little pantry tour before I start eating all the stuff. Pantry tour will mostly be my 2 shelves and 4 freezers, and no meat yet, but we're gonna get there. I am getting tired. When you spend your time in the woods, the thing is, I'm so used to drive around in the woods, and I now have the eye for something that's not supposed to be there. I'm not going to look for a deer per se. I'm going to look for brown spot or something that's not green, or something that's, I don't know, it will just catch my eye when it gets to it. Let's do this. Let's see. It's same thing with grouse. I remember going hunting with a friend of mine. He asked me, "Hey, you want to come grouse hunting?" I'm like, "Sure." Like, are you even able to see them? Like, am I gonna need to look on your side? He's like, no. I've been hunting before. Like, you don't need to worry about me. Look on your side. I'll look on mine. I'm like, okay. Suddenly, we're driving, and I'm looking at the window, like through the window, like this, and I'm on the side of the truck there. I'm like, oh, there's one right there, and you couldn't even see it. I don't know. It's just you get used to it, I guess. The only thing, though, I'm getting older, my eyes are not as good to see the details. I'll see a deer, even if it's far away. Last year, though, I saw one that had antlers, and I didn't see the antlers until 15 minutes later. I'm going to need to be more careful this time. Anyone getting ready for Christmas? Anyone start buying presents? I have a little idea of what I'm going to get Manon this year, at least. I have one idea. The kids, I don't know. I know Manon started buying some Christmas presents. I have 4 nieces to take care of as well. There's always it's always a struggle because I'm the godfather of 2 of them. So, I mean, I never necessarily go too expensive, but I always try to get something that they will enjoy. Even if it's only $20, I want to have something special, something that they will like having. For the kids, usually they always ask for something big, but I always end up finding something like either on a very crazy sale somewhere or second-handed at some point. Anthony wanted to have a TV. I ended up getting one at the hospital. At the hospital, when they throw stuff out, all you have to do is make a donation to the Friends of Healthcare Foundation, and you can bring home a TV. So I ended up getting 3 TVs One of them was 22 inches. One of them was 28. Another one was 32 inches. Cost me $10. And it was a Roku TV. So Anthony was pretty happy about it. He can finally start playing his games. He had one. He had the TV. It was a little bit bigger, but the sound was broken on it. And I told him, all you need to do is put speakers on it. My friend went moose hunting with his father and uncle. Uncle had Alzheimer. Dad and uncle were together in an hydro line. That's awesome. Oh, hey, Jake. How's it going? I didn't forget about you. I will send you a little money present. I started exploring the musical world a little bit since I heard your song that you made about me, and as you can see, I didn't use it yet. I intend to use it. I just wanted to, to give you a little donation before I actually start using it. That way, you can't say that I stole it from you or anything like that. The deal was I make a donation, then I get the song. You made the song. I have to give you a donation before I start using it. I didn't forget about you. No worries. I'm doing great. And that's good that you're doing okay. They did not hunt anything, but afterward, Uncle told Father, "Did you see the big brown pug passing between us?" Father did not see it. It was a moose. Oh no. It's always, you always have that kind of story. I went deer hunting, like the last time I went with my grandfather. We were parked on the side of the road in a little entrance, and there were it was old cuttings that had grown a little bit, but there were two new ones, and it had it was just strips. And I was walking, and I decided to go to the second one. My grandfather was eating a sandwich at the truck, and all he could see was the buck pass. He wasn't ready for it, and it was just in the middle, like in the cutting in the middle. As I was coming out, he's like, "Did you see the deer?" I'm like, "No." And as soon as the deer walked out, like maybe 2 minutes later, I came out of the other cutting. So if I would have taken the middle one, maybe the deer would have been right in front of me. There's one time we were deer hunting. Oh, thank you. That's cool. Awesome. Thank you very much. I was deer hunting with my buddy Maxim, and we were right on the big road. We were getting ready to get out of the woods because when we go to the place called Raleigh Brook. We have to go through Irving's gates. We go in, and then we can hunt pretty much everywhere, and it's only like a small fee per day. But we were ready to get out to go to the convenience store to get like sandwich and pops and stuff like that. Just get a little snack to go before we decide to go back in. But as we were driving by, I'm like, oh, there's a deer right there. I didn't even have time to stop. My friend was already out. He has antlers. He has antlers. He had his head down, so I couldn't see it. But, as he lifted his head, then he had like a little spike horn. My buddy shot at him. He missed. We realized later that he had just scraped the butt of the deer. There was like a few drops of blood, nothing big. It wouldn't even have killed the deer. But we looked around. We couldn't find anything other than one or two drops. And, we saw a few deers there. So I told him, I said, let's go out. Let's grab a lunch. Let's give time to that deer to calm down. And we'll come back later and check to see if the deer is around. So we go out, grab our lunch, come back in. We start walking towards the cutting where we saw him, like the direction we saw him heading, and we walked right by him. He was laying on the ground. We walked past him. We didn't see him. But as soon as we got to the middle of the cutting, he got up and started running right in front of us, and he stopped right in front of me. And as soon as he did, I let the shot go, and he dropped right there. And that's when we realized that my buddy had hit him on the butt. Hello, Lori. How's it going? Tiffany, awesome. Thank you so much for stopping by. It's nice to have you here. So that was my first deer. Second year, we were deer hunting in another place, and we used to go down there in Riley Brook, Plaster Rock, like every weekend. My brother and I would just drive there, take an hotel room, or if we could find a little cabin somewhere, or even if it was just a bed and breakfast or Airbnb or anything like that, we would just find a place to crash for the night. You leave early Saturday morning. You arrive there. It's like a 2 hours and a half drive. You arrive there when it's time to hunt, like when the hunt starts, and then you drive and go to your hunting spot. You hunt. You go get some rest. You go hunting the next morning, and then around supper time, you start driving back. And by the time it gets dark, you put the rifles away, and you're on the main road 2 hours away from home. The second weekend, we were hunting a small road where we had my family had a lot of success. My brother got 14 points on that road at some point. My dad got 4 pointers. We saw a guy get a spike right in front of us. The road is maybe like 1 kilometer long, and it's like 500 meters like this, and then it curves a little bit and goes down another 500 meters. And I usually sit like right in the middle so I can see 2 big stretch of roads where there's a lot of deer crossing. Well, there was back then. I mean, that was in 2014. We didn't see really many deer after that. And when I was sitting there, I saw what seemed to be a nice buck pass way down the street. Like I didn't have a shot. I didn't have time to see how big he was. I just knew that it was a buck. And I tried to go find a track somewhere and couldn't see anything. So we kind of came out with a plan that, we were going to sit one of us in the middle of that stretch and one of us in the middle of the other stretch. And a third guy, because there were 3 of us, third guy was going to go and do like a big circle around in a safe way, in a way that there was no way we could shoot someone, because we were looking at the roads. And it would be walking behind us, like a few hundred meters behind us, then go across and go on the other side of the road, hoping to get one up. And, sometimes if you don't spook them, they won't run away. They'll just start walking by and go on with their day, but they'll go in the other direction. And we were hoping that the other direction would be where we were. So we got in that road early morning, as soon as the sun was starting to get a little clear enough that we could start hunting anyway. So we start walking the road. One of the third guy stops there, sits there. Hey, Scott, how's it going? And my brother and I keep going. We go to the end of the road and start coming back. And he's like, okay, this is where I'll start. I'll go around. You stay. You go sit on the side of the road somewhere. And, let's see if we can get one out in the road for you. So I'm like, okay, go ahead. And my brother has this, it was a good idea, obviously, because it worked. He had this idea that if you hear something or if you think there's a deer, you stop, you don't move, you don't blink, you wait. He's looking for you. And if you can't see him, he probably can see you, and he's going to get scared if you move too fast. So he did maybe 20 feet in the woods, and he heard the deer. He couldn't see him, but he could hear him walk, and he knew the deer was coming to cross the road. He couldn't see what it was, but he figured, we always see a bunch of bucks down there. There's a lot of signs. We see the does a little bit higher in the road. And it was really, really, really cold. I was freezing. So I figured I'm going to go up the road, turn around at where it curves again, and then come back just to give myself time to warm up a little bit more before I go and sit down and not move. So I go up the hill, turn around, come back, do like 10 steps maybe. And I look down and I see this deer looking right at me. And I look in the scope. First thing I see is the antlers, the rack on his head. It seemed like it was nice rack too. Like, I'm not talking about 10, 12 pointers there, but it looked like something that was like, maybe 7, 8, 9 points. But they were nice. It ended up being a 7 points, but it wasn't like a nice 7 points. So I let the shot go. My magazine jammed just after one shot. The deer didn't move, didn't blink. Usually you hit a deer, you'll like jump and then go, or you'll see him run away, or he'll get scared. Nothing. He didn't blink. I'm like, oh shit, oh no, and I start swearing words I'm not gonna say on YouTube. Blah blah blah. Beep 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 beep. I tried to get the magazine out. It didn't want to go out, and I'm there yelling at my brother, "Keep an eye out. He's going your way. Keep an eye open. He's going your way." All that time, he was there in the woods, and you could hear the deer after I shot him. You heard the deer fall, so he knew I had him. He just didn't want to move because he didn't want to spook the deer if the deer was just injured. So by the time I got down there, I looked, tried to find a place where I shot him. There was no blood, but I could see the trail, and I look up, and there he was, about 10 feet away. And when I opened him up, the bullet went right through its heart. He didn't have time to suffer. It's just he didn't. I don't think he realized what happened. And when 10 steps, boom, he fell. And when I got there, I always do one more shot just to make sure he's not suffering, and that he's really done. And my brother was like, "Oh man, usually when you shoot a second shot, that's the way we have also to tell each other that we have him on the ground." And then I let go of a big yahoo, and he was like 3-4 feet away from the deer, just like next to a tree. So when I was shooting down the road, I was shooting that way, but there was like a bunch of tree. It was safe. There was no way I could have hit him. But the deer went right towards him, and he fell, 4 or 5 feet away from him. That was my second deer, my biggest one. I am still far away from my brother's 14 pointers, though. That's a story I've already talked about. But yeah, it's always fun when you talk about success like that. Yeah, it was probably my best shot ever. Well, I'm on a cold streak now. After being 2-2 for deer and 2-2 for moose, I think I'm like 1 for 10 on deer and like 1 for 10 on moose. It's insane the bad luck I've had in the last couple of years. But I realized that my rifle was not set properly. And you can see when you go set your scope and you're just like 50 feet away from the target, and you can't even hit the board, the sign, like the big. There's a problem somewhere. You're way off. So last year, the fact that all of us missed on that spike horn was very, very close. It tells me that all our guns were way off. So this year, we have our rifles ready. We're leaving not this weekend, but the following Sunday. And you can probably hear in my voice, I am very, very, very excited. I can't wait. This is my favorite time of year. This is the best time of the year for me. My favorite thing to do in the world. If it wasn't for my family, I would probably spend 4 weeks of deer hunting. And good evening, Tracy. Thank you so much for stopping by. I changed my handball practices to Monday to Wednesday so that when you go live, I can make it to your live stream. But this week I realized that you did it on Wednesday. You do it on purpose. Yeah, that was back in 2014. And that year was my first moose ever. And that was my biggest deer. Now I need to get one more deer. We have our shot. I mean, we've always had our chances. It's just that we're not lucky enough. Last year, on the second hunting day, we could have had our 4 tags filled. I mean, we missed on 2 bucks and on, well, I don't know how many does. We had 2 doe tags, and I had a doe tag, and I missed about 3 or 4 deer before I got my doe. My brother, same thing. It's when it's not your time, it's not your time. But the fact that we now know that our rifles are properly set with, we have that little tripod now that we can put it on, make sure it's always at the right spot. Hello, Karen. Thank you so much for stopping by. Yeah. Well, a lot of people don't necessarily agree with that way of life, but when you think about it, a moose will yield about 400 or 500 pounds of meat on average. You don't need to have a big field. You don't need to cut half a forest to make a field and let the grass grow and have hay and all that kind of stuff for beef. The animal is living in the forest, keeping some wild plants, under control, I guess. And it's a cycle of life. If everyone started poaching, then it'd be bad. But if you follow the rules and you don't do more than what you're supposed to do, well, they have people analyzing that kind of stuff. And I was reading the other day, I think on my live stream last Friday, I think that in the last 10 years, the deer population went up by like 100% in New Brunswick, which is pretty cool. The only problem is all the deer population is down south, pretty much in the big cities like St. John and Sussex. But, there's a Mapleberry Farm down there that Jeremy and Ashley, they just had a little baby a couple of weeks ago. They live down there in the Sussex area, so they're probably going to have a lot of deer on their property. But if you don't have private land, it's hard to get it. Outdoors with Vans, thank you so much for stopping by. How's it going? You're probably going to go hunting soon. I'm all for hunting ethically. When we lived in Oregon, we had friends who hunted, so we could always get game. But up here, we don't know anyone who hunts. In what part are you? Are you in Ontario, Lori? Or I don't remember. It's been a while. I remember sending you some seeds. Was it 2 years ago? I probably have your address somewhere still, but I mean, if you're using the meat and not just killing the animal just because, and there's nothing wrong with it, it's just, yeah. Well, exactly. Like, when my son got his 20 the first time, he's like, oh, there's a squirrel. Can I shoot it? No. No. And if you start talking like that, you're gonna lose your hunting rights because I'm gonna take them away from you. And then I had to explain to him, like it was he was still young back then. Like he started hunting grouse when he was 13. I'm like, no, like I don't hunt anything I don't eat. He wanted to eat the squirrel, and apparently it's legal now in New Brunswick. You're allowed to eat them. Um, oh, cool. Vancouver Island. You probably have. Well, I know there's a lot of small islands not too far from there, but you would need to have someone with a boat. And but I'm sure it's probably the same as here. Once you know, like Crown Land or any a place where anyone can go, those are probably the spots where the animals is not really hanging out. Oh, those chives are still growing in your. That's awesome. So you're probably enjoying some of them. I think they were garlic chives, right? They're pretty much well, they look alike with the regular chives. I guess could have been any of them. I have some chives growing all over my property as well, and they can spread. They, they won't spread too fast, but they can spread. Sorry, I realized last spring that I had a few chives growing like on my lawn, on my front lawn, which is uh, which is pretty cool because it's food. I don't mind. It can grow all over the place if it wants to. It's not worse than grass. I've never been hunting in my life. Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like I come from a hunting family. My girlfriend's never been hunting. You know, um, I'm sure if I wasn't with her two oldest ones would never go hunting either. Alexa is more into like she wants to go grouse hunting more, because usually you'll see some and you have more action. And Anthony is more excited about the big game. Like he's really enjoying spending time with the older boys. My dad is always making jokes and laughing, and he enjoys it. That's what hunting is all about. It's not just about being out there hurting animals. It's about spending time with your family, telling stories. Um, it's a week where we get out of our routine instead of going to work. The 8 to 5 job, and get back home and take care of the family, and you're in the middle of the woods. So basically, you go hunting. You're alone. Deer hunting is about being alone in the woods. I mean, my son has to be with someone. So, last year he went a few times with my dad. My dad wanted to show him a few tricks. And then we ended up putting him like on top of a hill somewhere. And I'm like, okay, you stay there. I'll go on the other side of the road. We can see each other. We can yell at each other. We can, we're legal that way. But we're both looking on different cuttings, I guess. And that's what it's all about. You arrive at the camp, or we rent an Airbnb. We arrive there when it's dark. We get supper ready, and we all take a shower quickly. We eat. We'll have a beer, watch a hockey game or a movie, and then we go to bed and we start over the next day. And we talk about all kind of stuff. When I was a boy with a pellet gun, I shot a robin. My mom made me cook and eat it. It was okay, but well, you learn the hard way sometimes. That's the thing. Anthony wanted to get the squirrel because he wanted to eat it, but that's not something we've ever eaten. So it's I hear some people eat squirrels, but around here the squirrels are the size of a small rat, maybe. I mean, they're very, very tiny. You might get like 2 bites out of a squirrel. I mean, it's pointless. I mean, I get if you were lost, and squirrels are all over the place. I mean, you're deer hunting, you'll see 20 of them in 15 minutes. My grandpa used to hunt, but there was no way he was taking a girl into the bush. Probably never crossed his mind. Yeah, my mom has her PAL and her license and all that stuff. She applies for moose. She enjoys being there with us, I suppose, more than shooting, I suppose. But it's not something she would do on her own, I guess. But I mean, it's pretty much the same thing with all my aunts. If my mom gets a moose tag, we'll go the whole family, and she'll have one of the rifles, and probably my dad will have the second one. Last time she had her tag, I got mine as well. So it was my brother and I in one vehicle, and my dad and my mom in another vehicle. They ended up getting a moose on the first hunting night, which was Tuesday. It was about like 2 hours before dark, but by the time we got there to help them, and we found it, and you're right, my dad had to leave, come back with ropes and all that kind of stuff. It was dark. I always enjoy getting something in the morning rather than in the evening because of that. You don't always decide. Groundhogs are big here. Got about a 20-pound one around here. Nice. And good evening. We don't have any of those hogs here, so I wouldn't even know. Plenty of fat cows around here, so it's safe. Red squirrels don't taste great anyway, but stuff a large gray squirrel with bacon, stitch it up from roast over a fire, and it's delicious. Well, to be fair, anything with bacon is delicious. I mean, you could put, what kind of vegetables nobody likes? Broccoli? Put broccoli in bacon, and kids will eat it. I remember my first moves, 2 horses and 6 pack mules. Cool. That's pretty awesome. 300 Win mag. I usually take the 30-06, and it's just a matter of, it's not really because that's my favorite one. It's just, it is my favorite one because that's pretty much the only one I've ever, I don't want to say ever known, but that's the first one my dad let me take to go moose hunting and deer hunting, and I just got used to it. I mean, it's big enough for moose, bear, deer, and could also be used for coyotes. It's good for everything, I guess. Member for 29 months. Is it already been that long? It's already been that long. Wow. That's pretty cool. And for those of you who don't know, okay, I can start another goal. Really? Okay. I'll put that for an hour. I'll start that again. Do you guys see that in the chat? That's something new, by the way. Just something, I make it for fun. You don't have to feel it like you need to. It's just, you can do something like that. Like Tracy could say, well, I'm going to shave my head if I get $10. Then I could go and pay $10 to get him to shave his head. Something like that. Got my first deer with 30-30. Well, that's the pew pew that my brother uses. That's his favorite one. You start hunting with that, and that's all he ever cares for. Please don't sing. Well, if I get 4 more, I'll have no choice. But yeah, my brother uses a 30-30 a lot. He got his first moose with that. He got a 14 points deer. And the 14 points deer was kind of a cool story. He even had this little picture taken in the hunting magazine around here. It was a year where I couldn't make it because I think it was back when I was in college. Either when I was in college or it was the first year I started working. And when you just start working, you can't really take time off to go hunting because you don't have vacations yet. It was one of those years anyway. It was my 2 brothers, my dad and my grandfather. They went deer hunting, and my brother was hunting in a specific spot where he could see a lot of a lot of signs, a lot of scratching on the trees and scrapings and scratching on the ground in the mud, and you just knew that there were a lot of bucks out there. So my brother, with his compass and his GPS, and he goes there and he walks around in circle for like the whole day, and they get out, and he arrives at the Jeep, and there's a truck that arrives nearby. It was people that people we knew but didn't really knew. It was people from around here, like they live about 15 minutes from here. We knew who they were by name and face, but that's pretty much it. We didn't really go hunting. Like, I say we, but I mean, it's just because they've been hunting for a while at the same spot. But I wasn't there. But they were looking for one of their friends that was supposed to get out, and it wasn't out. And that guy had a problem. He was diabetic, and he also had what's it called? I don't know. I don't even know what it's called. He couldn't poop on his own. He had like this little bag, and they were scared for his life. They were worried because they couldn't find him. That's awesome. So they told my brothers and my dad, if you see anything, let us know, because we're driving around trying to find him. And my brother was only 18 at the time. I think it was actually his first year hunting on his own. He could have been 19. He's like, Dad, like, we have to help. We know these woods. We've been hunting here for a few years now. We have to help. We have to find a guy. So my brother decides to go and enter where he had been hunting for the whole day. Decided to go a little bit deeper, and he saw a lot of nice signs, like even bigger signs and even more signs, which was not really the point, because he didn't really want to hunt at that point. He wanted to find the guy. And he started smelling smoke, so he knew that there was someone nearby. So he started yelling until the guy yelled back. So he found him, and the thing is, down where he was, the GPS was not working. There was no satellite connection. But my brother knew from what way he came from, and he knew that the GPS had connection not too far from where he was. So we gave a granola bar to the guy because he was getting weak because of his diabetes. He eats that. Give him some water. Made sure the fire was out. The guy had made a fire because in his mind he was spending the night outside in the woods. And my brother found him, and they walked back. He was somewhat old man. With health issues. So at that point, he was struggling to walk on his own. My brother had to help him out. So, it's like my brother saved that guy. And then he told my dad, he said, Dad, I want to come hunt here tomorrow. There's a lot of signs. I want to be here. But my dad did not want to hunt there. They wanted to go try someplace else. And my brother said, well, you go hunt where you want. I want you to drop me here. I'll spend the day here on my own. I don't mind. So the next morning, my dad drops him there. He didn't really like the idea of leaving him there, but my other brother, Pascal, was there and was like, Dad, like, he found a guy on his own yesterday. He's 19 years old. He's got a GPS. He knows what he's doing. You don't need to worry. I mean, you'll be fine. At some point, you have to trust that we can do things on our own in the woods, So they let him go. They start driving, and 5 minutes later, on the walkie-talkie, they hear like, when you have interference on the walkie-talkie, like someone's trying to talk to you, but you can't hear them. So they turn around. They figure, It was probably my brother trying to talk to them. What had happened is, as soon as my brother started walking in that road, the same road where I got my 7 pointers, but instead of being in going down a hill part, it was in the beginning of the road, and it was like more. Um, in French, we call it like it's dirty woods. You know, like it's thick. It's not a place fun to walk. It's a lot of wetland, little bogs, little ponds, uh, thick wood. But that's where the deer hangs out. So my brother's walking slowly, smoking a cigarette, and suddenly that deer comes out right in front of him. Boom. So boom, 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 boom. He ended up shooting 7 bullets total on that deer, but like he told me, he said he wanted the deer to fall. It was a 14 pointers, a 14-point deer. So by the time my dad came back and arrived there and figured out, he was able to reach my brother. My brother's like, I have a deer, come help me. That's all he told them. They got there. It was a 14 points. I don't think I could find it. I don't remember what time it was. I have the magazine here somewhere. I don't know if I have the picture somewhere. But it was a beautiful deer. My brother has the antlers in his bedroom. So at some point I'll go take a picture of that deer. When you say that some people believe in karma, but there's also, you do something good, you'll have a reward. I feel like this is what happened to him. He was rewarded for helping that guy. He did a good deed and he got his deer. So it sucks that I wasn't there. I didn't get to enjoy that hunt with them. And to be fair, we didn't really have anything that special happening ever again. And we probably never will, because as some of you know, that was the last year. I am pretty sure it was in 2010, which was the last year my brother Pascal ever went hunting, because he passed away the following spring. But it's always special. Yeah, I was 15 when I got my first. That's cool. I wish Anthony would get a buck this year, because when it happens, you get hooked. You'll get hooked. If you get a deer, you're hooked. You're hooked for life. I mean, you always chase the dream of having the big buck, but honestly, I just want to have meat in the freezer. The only reason I want to have a buck is because we have 2 doe tags and 3 buck tags. And anyone with a doe tag can also shoot a buck. So we could come home with 5 bucks. Chances are slim. That's never happened before. But it used to happen with my dad when he was younger. They'd go hunting, the whole family, and they'd come home and they would all have a deer. I almost hit a 6-point with my pickup truck this month, winding through these Ozark mountains. Well, it's good that you didn't hit him, and it's also good that there's deer around. Is the deer hunting season in your area started? The only thing I know about the hunting in the States is what I see Tracy doing, and when I watch Mountain Man, but I don't really get to see the dates. I just see them go hunting. The hunting they do is kind of different than what we do. They'll see a deer like 10 kilometers away, and they'll start walking and try to get to them. We sit there and wait for them to pass by. My cars have killed more deer than my... Well, yeah, it's not fun, I suppose. When we went... I went to Pittsburgh for a job training back in 2014, and we read somewhere that you had 1 chance out of 7 to hit a deer in Pennsylvania. So I don't know if that's even true. If those numbers were real, they might be different now. Um, but we saw a lot of deer while we were there. Bow hunting is over. Okay, so you can go with your rifles, or is it black powder or muzzle loads? Evening. Hey, Sarah. Nice to see you. How's it going? Remember me not to go in your car, Tracy. Yeah, I don't hit deer with my vehicle. I'm safe. Used to see a dead deer in my old place in Georgia, hit by cars. Yeah. Around here, unfortunately, people tend to hit moose. We have more moose than deer. Oh, okay. Well, if you don't really like it, I suppose it makes sense not to go hunt it. Personally, it's my favorite meat, and I don't know if it's just because I don't eat it as often. I mean, don't get me wrong, moose meat is delicious. Tracy and Marilyn can probably vouch for that. Uh, but I enjoy good deer steak. The first one you get after you get a deer in the freezer, the first fresh steak you get, is always so yummy. Nothing better than sitting down with a beer, watching a hockey game with French fries, or maybe even a poutine, and a good steak of the animal you just put in the freezer. I usually try to get the cops to let me take them home unless they are too badly damaged. Okay, that's cool. I don't think we can even do that here in New Brunswick. That sucks. Yeah, well, I wish I had a bigger truck and went in Spokane area. There was a 15-foot moose eating the leaves of the tree in the church parking lot. It's always the case. It's always the same thing. A couple years back, we were moose hunting. We couldn't see anything. I go on Facebook on like the day before the last hunting day, in a Walmart parking lot in Hathawville. I mean, in the middle of the city, in Walmart parking lot, this big bull right there. And then a couple days later, same thing in the middle of the city of Dalhousie, crossing the road in front of the Esso gas station. Even a couple years back, there was one in the parking lot at the hospital. And there's some big animals out there. We go moose hunting, and because here in New Brunswick, it's a draw, and you're lucky if you get your moose tag every 10 years. So when you go, you want to make it count. So when we go, we just first thing we see is what we shoot, unless we would see like just a little calf. But if it's a decent moose, we try at least to get it. But every once in a while, after the hunt is over, especially like during the grouse season, my dad spends a lot of time in the woods for grouse as well, and the amount of bulls that he sees, the big ones, it's insane. A friend of mine just got one that was about 55, 60 inches rack. There was a record this year. Might not have been a record, but it was one of the biggest one I've seen anyway. 67 inches rack. That's insane. That's big. Same with Montana. Didn't used to be that way. And the thing is, there's a lot of moose. It's not because there's not enough moose. It's just because, well, I suppose if everybody started hunting, there wouldn't be enough. There's also a lot of people from First Nation that, they go hunting a lot. So I suppose if everyone just started going, the population would go down. So I'd rather have them do a draw like this and keep the population up. But I think they need to change the way that they do those draws, because you have groups of 4 or 5 people that will have a tag every year. and some other people might never go hunting at all. So they should at least make people apply in groups of 2. That way you have less chance of having 3 tags for 4 hunters, There's also like, it's too bad that you can't trade your tag with someone else. If I get drawn this year and I can't go, I could give my tag to my brother and he could go. That'd be awesome. But they don't want to do that. If you get drawn, you have to go or your tag is gone. But I mean, I don't see the difference. If I can't take the day off, why can't I just give it to someone that will probably go and give me some meat anyway? I just think that it sucks that it's done this way. For deer, there's 3 zones in New Brunswick that are currently closed for deer hunting. But all the other zones are bucks only, and some of those zones have a draw for doe tags. And there's also, you can have the what's it called? Nuisance, is it? It's they give tags to farmers down south, like Sussex. A few people in the Fredericton area, like Jack and Lindsay, could probably get at least 1 or 2 of those tags that they can harvest a deer because it's eating their crops. I doubt 1 in 1,000 men know how to gut and process a deer. True, but if they start allowing people, people are gonna learn how to do that stuff, how to state permits. I want to go. I was talking to Scott a couple of weeks ago, or was it last week? And I figured he invited me somewhat to go indirectly to go hunt with him at some point where he is in Alberta, in Ontario. Man, I'm tired. I started looking. It's a possibility. It's a possibility that at some point I might go find him in Ontario for a hunt. There's 2 different places I would love to go for deer hunting. Well, okay, let's say 4. There's the Anticosti Island on the Quebec side, but you have to take a plane to get there. That's pretty expensive. It would cost me like a good $4,000 to go there for a week. So if you want to go, you don't really want to go alone. You kind of need 4 guys. So it's like, you're talking about $16,000. That's way too expensive to go deer hunting. I would love to go in Saskatchewan. They have deer that goes in their fields, and they can hunt there. And the bucks are very, very big. Well, they have big antlers anyway, big racks on their heads. Another place I would love to go is in the New York State. Is it New York? I think there's a place in the States. Tracy or Drops can let me know that you're allowed to get like 9 does if you get a buck or something like that. Like you're allowed to have a bunch of deers because there's so many that you can just basically hunt. I would love to go there. Imagine coming back home with that many deer. That would be awesome. And at some point in the future, I say in 5 years because I'm hoping to finish my class and pay some bills, get married, and all that kind of stuff. At some point, I'll have a little bit more money for myself, and one of the things I would love to do is also go for a week see Tracy out there in the States. You kind of invited me a couple of years back, and I didn't forget about that, Tracy. At some point, you'll see me in your cabin. Out-of-state permits pertains to USA, but I'm sure Canada has some same rules. Yeah, we have here in Canada, it's all divided by province. So even if I want to go hunt on the Quebec side, I have to buy like a out of province non-resident tag. Making dinners or listening and lurking. Awesome. Thank you, Lori. In New York, with all my tags and permits, I can get 5 deer a year. Well, how come if you can get 5 that you didn't get a single one last year? Huh? That'd be awesome, though. Like, I would love to go, but at some point we'll have a serious discussion about it. At some point, it will really happen. Of course, there's a lot of things to do before I get there, and financially, I'll have to settle down a lot better. But I'll have to look into like license and permits to cross over my hunting gear and the meat when I come back home and all that kind of stuff. I think it has to be processed by the butcher before I can take it back home, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll probably need to buy like a few big coolers or one of those big freezers that you can plug in the back of the vehicle. That'd be awesome, though. I used to have several deer run through my yard in WA State. That would be... I have no idea what WA is. Is it Washington? Wisconsin? No, it's not Wisconsin. Washington? I don't know the states in your country that much. I doubt anyone would say anything if I took one of those 200-pound plus doe deers down. I got one last year. I can only eat so much. Lost 28 pounds since May, and it feels great. Yeah, it's true. You had one. I remember you making a video about butchering the deer. But I don't remember the story of how you got it, because there was a story about you seeing one on your property somewhere, and then it ran off, and you couldn't see it after, but I don't remember how you got it. I used to go out at night and kick the coyotes around to keep them off the chicken coop. Really? Wow, that's bad. Put traps all over the place. Okay, WA is Washington. I'm not so bad. We are in Kansas down here. Deer are like large dogs. Lucky to have a buck at 150 pounds. We went deer hunting on Graminan Island, which is right next to Maine. It belongs to New Brunswick, but I think it's actually closer to the States. With 3 does, we got home with 3 does. We ended up with 80 pounds of meat out of those 3 does. Yeah, they're small. Like a doe is about 40 pound, 45. The 2 other ones were a little bit smaller, like the yearly deer. They were, 20 pounds maybe. £60, you're talking about a huge Viking kicking them around. If it happens again, film it. I want to see it. That must be awesome. Yeah. I just can't wait to go. I'm excited. I wish we would have some snow when we go down, but last year we only had snow after Christmas was done. As much as I love green Christmas, I want to have like 1 week of snow, and that's the week we go deer hunting. It doesn't happen too much. The coyotes around here, 30 pounds, about 30 pounds, much smaller. Yeah, we get coyotes about the size of, well, maybe smaller than a German Shepherd here, but we still get some pretty decent ones. And there's a lot of them here in New Brunswick as well. In Alaska, in the last few years, we see a lot, we hear a lot. I'm sure if I was to go outside tonight, I would probably hear them howl. And it's crazy because they're right in the village. I mean, they're in the woods, but they're still in the village lines. Oh, I'm gonna have to pack my stuff. Even if it's just packing the stuff, it's kind of cool. It's fun because you're getting there. I'm gonna try to make a nice video. I need to bring the camera, the GoPro. I have it here. I'm gonna try to get that ready with what kind of SD card do I have in there at the moment? $128 gigs. Should be big enough because I have 3 batteries. Each battery will go about 2 full hours, and I'll be bringing my laptop and an external hard drive. Probably gonna bring some movies as well to watch while we're there, and I know my brother will want to watch hockey. It's gonna be awesome. I should bring a drone. Nah, can't do that. But imagine if it was legal. You take a drone up in the air, you drive it at the end of the cutting, you see if there's a deer or not. You come back with a drone, and then you can walk there, try to get the deer. Get a Great Pyrenees, great family dog, and look like a huge white bear, and will protect livestock. Yeah, the thing is, those dogs, to have them here, it's probably around $2,000 to buy them, to get them here. That's money I don't have at the moment. If I had $2,000, I'd probably go in Ontario for deer hunting. All right, well, I'll let you guys go. Guys and girls, you will be redirected to Scott's Rambling with the Rooms live stream. Go say hi, give him a thumbs up, and I'll talk to you Sunday morning. And if not, for those of you who prefer Friday nights, I will be here Friday evening as well, getting ready for deer hunting. I will be packing my stuff this week, getting ready, and I'll see you guys later. Let me just go and put some music. Take care, everyone. Right now, you too. Thank you, Jane. Have a nice weekend.